Unexpected encounter. Dr. Maya Patel squinted against the harsh desert sun as she carefully brushed away sound from the peculiar object protruding from the ground. The archaeological dig site in the Sahara had already yielded fascinating discoveries, but this find was unlike anything she had ever encountered. "Professor Harris," Maya called out, her voice filled with excitement, "I think you need to see this." The seasoned archaeologist hurried over, his eyes widening as he saw what Maya had unearthed. It was a small pyramidal device made of an iridescent material that seemed to shift colors as they looked at it. Strange, intricate symbols covered its surface, pulsing with a faint blue light. "Extraordinary," Professor Harris breathed, kneeling down to examine the artifact more closely. "This doesn't match any known ancient civilization. The material, the craftsmanship, it's unlike anything I've ever seen." Maya nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "Do you think it could be extraterrestrial?" Before Professor Harris could respond, the symbols on the device began to glow more intensely. A low hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. "Maya, step back," Professor Harris shouted, but it was too late. A blinding flash of light engulfed Maya, and she felt herself being pulled into what seemed like a swirling vortex of energy. Her surroundings blurred and twisted, and she experienced a sensation of falling through an endless tunnel of light and color. Just as suddenly as it had begun, the experience ended. Maya found herself sprawled on a cold, metallic floor, gasping for breath. As her vision cleared, she realized with a jolt that she was no longer in the desert. The air around her was cool and had a slightly sweet, unfamiliar scent. She was in some sort of dimly lit chamber, surrounded by towering structures that pulsed with the same ethereal blue light as the artifact. "Hello," Maya called out, her voice echoing in the vast space. "Is anyone there?" As she slowly got to her feet, she noticed that the gravity felt slightly different, lighter somehow. Maya's scientific mind began to race, trying to process her surroundings. The architecture was like nothing she had ever seen on Earth, with organic, flowing lines that seemed to defy conventional engineering. A soft whirring sound caught her attention, and Maya turned to see a small disc-shaped object floating towards her. It hovered at eye level, emitting a pale green light that scanned her from head to toe. "Human life form detected," a melodious voice emanated from the device. "Language analysis complete. Initiating communication protocol." Maya's heart pounded in her chest. "Where am I? What is this place?" The floating device blinked twice before responding. "You are aboard the Celestial Ark, last refuge of the Zarkonian people. Your presence here is unexpected." Before Maya could ask more questions, a piercing alarm began to sound throughout the chamber. The floating device darted away, leaving her alone in the suddenly chaotic environment. "Intruder alert. Security breach in Sector 7. A booming voice announced in a language Maya somehow understood, despite never having heard it before. Panicking, Maya looked around for somewhere to hide. She spotted a small alcove behind one of the pulsing structures and quickly ducked into it, her mind reeling from the implications of what was happening. She was no longer on Earth, that much was clear. But how far from home was she? And more importantly, how would she get back? As she huddled in her hiding spot, Maya heard the sound of approaching footsteps. They were unlike any footsteps she had heard before, a strange, rhythmic clicking that echoed through the chamber. Peering out from her hiding place, Maya's jaw dropped at the sight before her. 3 tall, slender beings entered the chamber, their bodies covered in iridescent scales that shimmered in the pulsing light. They had elongated heads with large, almond-shaped eyes that glowed with an inner light. Their movements were fluid and graceful as they searched the area. "The human cannot have gone far," one of the beings said, its voice a melodious trill. "We must find it before it causes any damage or falls into the wrong hands." Maya's scientific curiosity warred with her instinct for self-preservation. These beings, clearly not human, were searching for her, but their intentions were unclear. Should she reveal herself or try to find a way back to the artifact that had brought her here? As she debated her next move, a new figure entered the chamber. This one was different from the others, taller, with an air of authority that was immediately apparent. The other beings bowed their heads in deference. "Your Majesty," they said in unison. The newcomer, apparently some sort of royalty, spoke in a voice that was both commanding and tinged with worry. "The human's arrival is no coincidence. It may be the key to our salvation or our downfall. Find it, but do not harm it. We must learn why it has come to us now, in our darkest hour." Maya's mind raced with questions. Why do they think she was important? What do they mean by their darkest hour? And most pressingly, how could she communicate with them without being seen as a threat? Taking a deep breath, Maya made a decision. She stepped out from her hiding place, hands raised in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "Hello," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I'm Dr. Maya Patel. I come in peace." The beings turned to her, their luminous eyes widening in surprise. The royal figure stepped forward, regarding Maya with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "Welcome, Dr. Maya Patel of Earth," the being said, its voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "I am Queen Zaraleth of the Zarkonian people. Your arrival here is most unexpected, but perhaps it is also fortuitous." Maya swallowed hard, trying to process the gravity of the situation. She was face to face with an alien queen on a distant world, millions of light years from Earth. Everything she had ever known about the universe had just been turned upside down. I'm not sure why I'm here," Maya admitted. "There was an artifact in the desert, and when I touched it—" Queen Zaraleth nodded, her expression unreadable. "The Nexus Key. We had thought it lost forever. Its activation and your subsequent arrival can mean only one thing: the prophecy is coming to pass." Maya's scientific skepticism kicked in. "Prophecy? I'm sorry, but I don't understand. I'm an archaeologist, not some prophesied savior." The Queen's eyes seemed to shimmer with an inner light. "Whether you believe it or not, Dr. Patel, your coming here was foretold. Our world stands on the brink of destruction, and you may be our last hope." As if to underscore the Queen's words, a distant explosion rocked the chamber. Alarms blared, and the other beings looked around in panic. Queen Zaraleth's expression hardened. "We have no more time for explanations. Dr. Patel, will you help us? The fate of our world, and perhaps your own, may depend on it." Maya looked from the Queen to the other aliens, then back at the spot where she had arrived. There was no visible way back home, no guarantee that she would ever see Earth again. But the scientist in her, the part that had always dreamed of making a great discovery, knew there was only one answer she could give. "I'll help," Maya said, surprising herself with the determination in her voice. "I don't know how, but I'll do whatever I can." Queen Zaraleth nodded gravely. "Then let us hurry. We must reach the sanctuary before the usurper's forces break through our defenses." As Maya followed the alien queen and her guards out of the chamber and into the unknown depths of the Celestial Ark, she couldn't help but wonder what she had gotten herself into. The artifact in the desert had been the discovery of a lifetime, but this was beyond her wildest imagination. Little did Maya know that her adventure was only beginning, and that her actions in the coming days would not only change her life forever, but also shape the destiny of two civilizations, the fallen empire. Maya's heart raced as she followed Queen Zaraleth and her guards through the winding corridors of the Celestial Ark. The structure seemed to be alive, its walls pulsing with bioluminescent veins that cast an eerie glow over their path. Distant explosions and alarms created a cacophony of chaos around them. "Your Majesty," Maya called out, trying to keep pace with the long strides of the Zarkonians. "Can you please explain what's happening? Who's attacking us?" Queen Zaraleth's luminous eyes flickered with a mix of sadness and determination. "It is a long and tragic tale, Dr. Patel, but I will try to explain as we move. Our empire once spanned galaxies, a peaceful civilization dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge and the betterment of all species. They rounded a corner, and Maya gasped at the sight of a massive atrium. The ceiling stretched so high it disappeared into darkness, and floating platforms moved in complex patterns, carrying Zarkonians to different levels. But our golden age came to an abrupt end, the Queen continued, ushering Maya onto one of the platforms. My brother Vex Thor was corrupted by an ancient and malevolent force known as the Void. He staged a coup, usurping the throne and plunging our empire into darkness. As they ascended, Maya saw signs of the ongoing battle. Scorch marks marred the once pristine walls, and groups of Zarkonians rushed about, some carrying wounded comrades, others hefting strange weapons that crackled with energy. The Void? Maya asked, her scientific mind struggling to comprehend. Is it some kind of entity or energy? One of the guards, a tall Zarkonian with silver scales, answered, "It is both and neither human. The Void is a cosmic force that seeks to unmake creation itself. It promises power but consumes all in its path." The platform came to a stop at a heavily fortified level. Queen Zarileth led them through a series of security checkpoints, each more advanced than the last. Maya marveled at the technology, recognizing that it was centuries, if not millennia, beyond anything on Earth. But why am I here? Maya pressed as they entered what appeared to be a command center. How could I possibly help against something like that? Queen Zarileth turned to face Maya, her expression grave. The prophecy speaks of an outsider, one untouched by the Void, who would arrive in our darkest hour. This outsider would possess the key to unlocking our most powerful weapon against the darkness. Maya's eyes widened. The artifact I found in the desert, the one that brought me here. The Queen nodded. The Nexus Key, as we call it, is part of an ancient defense system created by our ancestors. It was sent to your world eons ago for safekeeping, waiting for the right moment and the right person to activate it. Before Maya could respond, a holographic display flickered to life in the center of the room. It showed a massive battleship approaching the Celestial Ark, its design a nightmarish contrast to the organic architecture of the Zarkonians. Where their ships were sleek and beautiful, this vessel was jagged and dark, seeming to absorb the light around it. "The Void Dreadnought," one of the Zarkonian officers announced, his voice filled with dread. "Vex Thor himself leads the assault." Queen Zarileth's face hardened. "We are out of time. Dr. Puttle, I know this is overwhelming, but we need your help. The Nexus Key responded to you for a reason. Only you can activate the Celestial Forge, our last line of defense against the Void." Maya looked around the room, seeing the hope and desperation in the eyes of the Zarkonians. She thought of Earth, so far away and unaware of the cosmic battle being waged. If the Void consumed this civilization, how long before it set its sights on her home? Taking a deep breath, Maya squared her shoulders. "I'll do it. Tell me what I need to do." A ghost of a smile crossed Queen Zarileth's face. "Thank you, Dr. Puttle. Caxlin, our chief scientist, will guide you through the process." A Zarkonian with iridescent blue scales stepped forward, holding what looked like a circlet made of the same material as the Nexus Key. "This neural interface will allow you to connect with the Celestial Forge," Caxlin explained. "It may be disorienting at first." Maya nodded, her mouth dry as Caxlin placed the circlet on her head. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, her mind exploded with information. Streams of data, images of distant worlds, and the vast history of the Zarkonian Empire flooded her consciousness. She gasped, staggering as the neural interface integrated with her mind. Through the torrent of information, she began to understand the true nature of the Celestial Forge and the threat they faced. "The Void," Maya whispered, her eyes wide with the knowledge now at her fingertips. "It's not just destroying your empire, it's unraveling the very fabric of the universe." Queen Zorileth nodded solemnly. Now you understand the stakes, Dr. Petal. The Celestial Forge is more than a weapon. It's a tool of creation, capable of repairing the damage done by the void. But it requires a mind untouched by darkness to operate. A violent tremor shook the command center, and alarms blared with renewed urgency. The holographic display showed the Void Dreadnought launching waves of smaller craft, each bristling with weapons. "They've breached our outer defenses," an officer shouted. Queen Zorileth turned to Maya, her eyes blazing with determination. "Dr. Petal, we must reach the core of the Celestial Ark. There, you can activate the forge and turn the tide of this war. Are you ready?" Maya's mind reeled from the influx of information, but she felt a strange sense of calm settling over her. She understood now why she had been brought here, the responsibility that rested on her shoulders. It was terrifying yet exhilarating. "I'm ready," she said, her voice steady. "Let's save your people and the universe." As they prepared to make their way to the core, Maya couldn't help but marvel at the twist her life had taken. Just hours ago, she had been an archaeologist on a routine dig. Now, she stood at the center of an intergalactic conflict, the hopes of an entire civilization resting on her shoulders. The Zarkonians moved with purpose, gathering weapons and supplies. Maya noticed that despite their advanced technology, there was something almost ritualistic about their preparations. She realized that for them, this was more than a battle. It was a fight for the very soul of their species. Queen Zorileth approached Maya, holding out a sleek silver device. "This is a personal shield generator," she explained. "It will offer you some protection as we make our way to the core." As Maya activated the device, feeling the subtle hum of energy enveloping her, another tremor shook the Ark. The Queen's expression grew grim. "We must move quickly," she said. "Vex Thor's forces grow stronger with each passing moment. The void feeds on fear and despair, and I fear many of our people have already fallen to its influence." With a final check of their equipment, the small group, Queen Zorileth, Maya, Caxlin, and a handful of elite guards, set out from the command center. As they navigated the increasingly damaged corridors of the Celestial Ark, Maya saw firsthand the devastation wrought by the void. Entire sections of the massive ship were dark, their bioluminescent veins extinguished. In some areas, the very structure seemed to be decaying, as if the void was literally eating away at the Ark itself. They encountered pockets of resistance, both Zarkonian defenders and twisted, shadowy creatures that Maya realized were void-corrupted Zarkonians. As they fought their way through, Maya found herself drawing on the knowledge imparted by the neural interface. She pointed out weak points in the void creature's defenses and helped coordinate the Zarkonian counterattacks. It was as if she had been training for this her entire life, though the reality of the situation still felt surreal. During a brief respite, as they regrouped in a sealed chamber, Maya turned to Queen Zorileth. "Your Majesty, I understand why you need me to activate the Celestial Forge, but what exactly will it do? How can it stop the void?" The Queen's luminous eyes met Maya's. "The Forge is not just a weapon, Dr. Petal. It is a tool of creation, capable of reshaping reality itself. Our ancestors built it as a last resort, a way to cleanse the universe of the void's taint and restore balance to creation." Caxlin chimed in, his scientific curiosity evident despite the dire circumstances. "The Forge harnesses the power of creation itself, the same forces that birthed the universe. In the right hands, it can undo the damage caused by the void and even seal the breaches through which it enters our reality." Maya's mind reeled at the implications. "But that kind of power, it's godlike. How can you be sure I'm the right person to wield it?" Queen Zorileth placed a comforting hand on Maya's shoulder. "The Nexus Key chose you, Dr. Petal. Our ancestors imbued it with the wisdom to seek out a worthy wielder. Your heart is pure, your mind sharp, and your spirit unbroken. You are exactly who we need in this darkest hour." Before Maya could respond, the chamber shook violently. A booming voice, distorted and filled with malice, echoed through the Ark's communication systems. "Sister dearest," the voice sneered, sending chills down Maya's spine. "Did you really think you could hide from me? I can sense the human you've brought aboard. How desperate you must be to pin your hopes on such a primitive creature." Queen Zaraleth's face hardened. "Vex Thor," she spat, "your reign of terror ends today. The void has not yet consumed all that is good in this universe." Vex Thor's laughter was like nails on a chalkboard. "Oh, but it will, sister. The void is inevitable. It is the true nature of existence. Why fight it when you can embrace the power it offers?" Maya stepped forward, drawing strength from the determination she saw in her Zarkonian allies. "Because there's more to existence than power," she said, surprising herself with the conviction in her voice. "There's beauty and growth and the endless possibility of discovery. We'll stop you, Vex Thor. The void won't win today." There was a moment of silence, and then Vex Thor's voice returned, dripping with malice. "Ah, the human speaks. Very well, little one. Let's see if your actions can match your bold words. The core awaits, if you can reach it." The communication cut off, leaving the chamber in tense silence. Queen Zaraleth turned to the group, her eyes blazing with renewed determination. "You heard him," she said. "The core awaits. Are you ready for the final push, Dr. Patel?" Maya took a deep breath, feeling the weight of countless lives, both Zarkonian and, potentially, human, resting on her shoulders. She thought of her life on Earth, of the simple joy of uncovering ancient artifacts and piecing together the past. Now she stood at a crossroads of cosmic significance, with the power to shape the future of the universe. "I'm ready," she said, her voice steady. "Let's finish this." As they prepared to leave the safety of the chamber and make their final push to the core, Maya couldn't help but feel a mix of terror and exhilaration. Whatever awaited them, whether triumph or tragedy, she knew that her life would never be the same. The universe had called upon her, and she would answer. With a nod from Queen Zaraleth, the doors hissed open, and they stepped out to face their destiny. Unlikely alliance. The journey to the core of the Celestial Ark was a harrowing one. Maya and her Zarkonian allies fought their way through corridors teeming with void-corrupted creatures, each more nightmarish than the last. The neural interface continued to feed Maya information, allowing her to anticipate threats and guide the group through the least dangerous paths. As they approached a vast chamber that separated them from the core, Queen Zaraleth held up a hand, signaling the group to halt. "Beyond this point lies the Nexus chamber," she explained, her voice low. "It's the last line of defense before the core. Vex Thor will have concentrated his forces there." Maya peered through the doorway, her heart sinking at the sight before her. The chamber was enormous, with multiple levels connected by energy bridges. Swarming throughout were hundreds of void creatures and corrupted Zarkonians, all focused on a central platform where a swirling vortex of darkness pulsated ominously. "That's the void breach," Caxton whispered, noticing Maya's gaze. "It's how Vex Thor is channeling more of the void's power into our realm." Maya's mind raced, processing the tactical information provided by the neural interface. "We'll never make it through there," she said, her voice tinged with despair. "There are too many of them." Suddenly, a commotion from behind caught their attention. The group spun around, weapons at the ready, only to find themselves face to face with a ragtag band of aliens, species Maya had never seen before. A tall, reptilian being with iridescent scales stepped forward, its four eyes blinking in rapid succession. "Queen Zaraleth," it said in a gravelly voice, "we received your distress signal. The Galactic Concord stands ready to assist." Relief washed over the Queen's face. "Commander Zixtal," she breathed, "your timing is impeccable." Maya looked from the Queen to the newcomers, confusion evident on her face. Caxton leaned in to explain. "The Galactic Concord is an alliance of species from across the universe. They've been waging a guerrilla war against Vex Thor's forces for years." Commander Zixtal's gaze fell on Maya, his eyes narrowing with curiosity. This is the human the prophecy spoke of. Maya straightened, feeling the weight of expectation on her shoulders. I'm Dr. Maya Patel, she said, surprised by the steadiness in her voice. I'm here to help activate the Celestial Forge. The commander nodded, a look of respect crossing his alien features. Then we shall ensure you reach the core, Dr. Patel. The fate of the universe rests on your success. With the addition of the Concord forces, the group quickly formulated a new plan. They would split into 3 teams, one to create a diversion, another to target the Void Breach, and a third, led by Queen Zaraleth and including Maya, to make a dash for the core. As they prepared for the assault, Maya found herself approached by a small, luminous being that seemed to float rather than walk. It introduced itself as Lumi, a member of an energy-based species called the Photon. Dr. Patel, Lumi said, its voice a melodious hum, I sense great potential within you. The Celestial Forge will require not just your mind, but your spirit. Are you prepared for what lies ahead? Maya swallowed hard, the reality of her task settling in. I don't know, she admitted. This is all so far beyond anything I've ever experienced. What if I'm not strong enough? Lumi's body pulsed with a warm, comforting light. Strength comes in many forms, Dr. Patel. Your courage in facing the unknown, your compassion for beings you've just met. These are strengths the Void cannot comprehend. Trust in yourself as we trust in you. Bolstered by Lumi's words, Maya rejoined the others as they made final preparations. The plan was set into motion with a series of explosive charges detonated by the diversion team. As chaos erupted in the Nexus chamber, Maya found herself running alongside Queen Zaraleth and a mixed group of Zarkonians and Concord allies. Energy blasts and void tendrils whizzed past them as they sprinted across the chamber. Maya's heart pounded in her chest, adrenaline surging through her veins. She saw members of their group fall, struck down by enemy fire or dragged away by writhing shadows. Yet they pressed on, their goal tantalizingly close. As they neared the far side of the chamber, a massive figure materialized before them, blocking their path. Maya's blood ran cold as she realized who it was, Vex Thor himself. The corrupted Zarkonian towered over them, his once regal form twisted by the Void's influence. Tendrils of darkness writhed around him, and his eyes burned with an unholy light. Sister, he sneered, his voice a discordant mixture of malice and madness. How kind of you to deliver the human directly to me. Queen Zaraleth stepped forward, her body tense with barely contained fury. It's over, Vex Thor. Surrender now, and we may yet save you from the Void's corruption. Vex Thor's laughter sent chills down Maya's spine. Save me. I have transcended our weak, mortal forms. The Void has shown me the true nature of reality, chaos, entropy, the inevitable heat-death of all things. Why cling to your pathetic notions of order and creation when oblivion awaits us all? Maya felt a surge of anger cut through her fear. She stepped forward, standing shoulder to shoulder with Queen Zaraleth. You're wrong, she said, her voice ringing out clear and strong. The universe isn't just about entropy and destruction. It's about growth, discovery, the endless possibility of new beginnings. That's what the Celestial Forge represents, hope for a future we build together. For a moment, Vex Thor seemed taken aback by Maya's words, but then his face contorted with rage. Foolish human, he snarled. You understand nothing of cosmic truths. Let me show you the power of the Void. He raised his arms, and a wave of pure darkness surged towards them. Maya braced for impact, but at the last moment, Lumi darted in front of her. The Photon's body flared with brilliant light, holding back the tide of shadow. Go, Lumi cried, its voice strained. We'll hold him off. Reach the core. With a heavy heart, Maya turned and ran, following Queen Zaraleth through the door that led to the core. Behind them, the sounds of battle raged as their allies fought to give them this chance. As they raced down the final corridor, Maya's mind whirled with everything she had seen and learned. The vastness of the universe, the myriad forms of life, the cosmic struggle between creation and destruction, it was almost too much to comprehend. Yet as they finally entered the core chamber, a sense of calm washed over Maya. The room was a perfect sphere, its walls lined with swirling patterns of light that seemed to represent the very fabric of space-time. At its center floated a crystalline structure, the Celestial Forge. Queen Zarileth turned to Maya, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. "This is it, Dr. Pertol. Are you ready?" Maya took a deep breath, feeling the weight of countless lives, of entire civilizations, resting on her shoulders. She thought of Earth, so far away and unaware of the cosmic drama unfolding. She thought of the brave allies fighting and dying to give her this chance. And she thought of the universe itself in all its terrifying, beautiful complexity. "I'm ready," she said, her voice steady and resolute. As Maya stepped towards the Celestial Forge, the neural interface hummed with energy. She reached out, her fingers brushing against the crystalline surface. In that moment, she felt the entirety of creation flow through her, past, present, and all possible futures. The final battle for the fate of the universe had begun, and Maya Patel, once a simple archaeologist from Earth, stood at its very heart. The hidden key. As Maya's fingers made contact with the Celestial Forge, a surge of energy coursed through her body. The neural interface blazed to life, connecting her consciousness to the ancient device in ways she couldn't have imagined. Visions of distant galaxies, the birth of stars, and the intricate dance of subatomic particles flooded her mind. Queen Zarileth watched in awe as Maya's form began to glow with an otherworldly light. "It's working," she whispered, hope evident in her voice. But activating the forge was only the first step. Maya realized that to truly harness its power and push back the void, she needed to understand it on a fundamental level. The knowledge imparted by the neural interface was vast, but it wasn't enough. There was a piece missing, the hidden key that would unlock the forge's full potential. As if responding to her thoughts, the crystalline structure of the forge began to shift and realign. Holographic displays sprang to life around them, showing complex equations and diagrams that seemed to represent the very fabric of reality. "Your Majesty," Maya called out, her voice sounding distant to her own ears, "I need your help. There's something we're missing, a key to fully activating the forge." Queen Zarileth approached, her luminous eyes scanning the displays. "Our ancestors built safeguards into the forge," she explained. "To prevent its misuse, they divided the key into parts, scattering them across time and space." Maya's mind raced, processing this new information. "Then we need to find these parts, and quickly. Vex Thor and the Void won't wait." As if on cue, a violent tremor shook the core chamber. The sounds of battle drew closer. Their allies couldn't hold off the enemy forever. Caxlin burst into the room, his scales singed and his breathing labored. "Your Majesty, Dr. Patel, we're running out of time. The void breach is expanding. If we don't act soon, it will consume the entire Ark." Maya closed her eyes, focusing on the connection between her mind and the forge. She could feel the echoes of the key fragments resonating across the cosmos. I think I can locate the key parts," she said, her brow furrowed in concentration. "But we'll need to retrieve them quickly." Queen Zarileth nodded, determination etched on her face. "Tell us where, Dr. Petal. We'll find a way." Maya's eyes snapped open, glowing with the power of the forge. "There are 3 fragments. One is hidden in the heart of a dying star. Another is buried deep within the core of a gas giant in a distant system. And the third," she paused, a look of surprise crossing her face. "The third is on Earth, in the ruins where I found the Nexus Key." Caxelin's eyes widened. "But that's impossible. How could we reach all those locations in time?" A new voice joined the conversation. Lumi, the photon, had managed to join them in the core chamber. Though battered, the energy being still pulsed with determination. We can use the Ark's teleportation systems, Lumi suggested. If we can boost their power with energy from the forge, we might be able to send small teams to each location simultaneously. Queen Zaraleth nodded, quickly formulating a plan. Caxlin, you'll lead the team to the dying star. Commander Zixtol can handle the gas giant, and I will go to Earth. It's fitting that I should visit the world that gave us our savior. Maya felt a pang of homesickness at the mention of Earth, but she knew she couldn't leave the forge. Her connection to it was the only thing keeping the void at bay. Be careful, she warned. Vex Thor might have guessed our plan. He'll try to stop you. As the teams prepared for their desperate missions, Maya turned her focus back to the forge. She delved deeper into its systems, searching for a way to buy them more time. The visions came faster now. She saw the intricate web of space-time, the delicate balance of forces that held the universe together. And within that cosmic tapestry, she began to perceive the true nature of the void. It wasn't just a force of destruction, she realized. The void was a fundamental part of the universe, the counterbalance to creation. The problem wasn't its existence, but the imbalance Vex Thor had caused by trying to harness its power. As this realization dawned on her, a new possibility emerged. Maybe the key to stopping the void wasn't to destroy it, but to restore balance. Maya's concentration was broken by another violent tremor. The core chamber's defenses were failing. Through the open doorway, she could see writhing tendrils of darkness pushing back their allies. Hurry, she whispered, her thoughts reaching out to the teams on their vital missions. We're almost out of time. In that moment, as hope and despair hung in perfect balance, Maya Patel stood at the heart of the Celestial Forge, the fate of the universe literally in her hands. The archaeologist from Earth had become the linchpin in a cosmic drama, her next actions determining whether creation or oblivion would prevail. The hunt for the hidden key had begun, a desperate race against time and the encroaching void. As Maya poured her energy into maintaining the forge's defenses, she could only hope that her newfound allies would succeed in their quests. For if they failed, all of existence would fall into endless night. The final confrontation. As Maya maintained her connection with the Celestial Forge, she felt the vibrations of the universe itself. Through this cosmic link, she sensed the progress of the three teams on their desperate missions to retrieve the key fragments. On Earth, Queen Zaraleth navigated the familiar desert where Maya had first discovered the Nexus Key. The Queen's advanced technology made quick work of the excavation, and soon she held a glowing shard of crystal in her hand. As she prepared to return, a squad of void-corrupted beings materialized, led by one of Vex Thor's lieutenants. A fierce battle ensued, with Zaraleth's royal training and determination proving vital in securing the fragment and escaping back to the Ark. In the heart of a dying star, Caxlin and his team braved intense heat and gravitational forces. They located the fragment suspended in a pocket of stable spacetime, protected by ancient Zarkonian technology. As they retrieved it, the star began to collapse, forcing a daring escape through turbulent solar flares. Commander Zixtol's mission to the gas giant proved the most perilous. Descending through layers of toxic atmosphere, they fought off native lifeforms corrupted by the void's influence. In a heart-stopping moment, Zixtol had to choose between saving a team member and securing the fragment. With a heavy heart, he made the difficult decision that ensured the mission's success. Back in the core chamber, Maya felt each team's return. The fragments, reunited, began to resonate with the forge. But before she could fully integrate them, a massive explosion rocked the chamber. Through the smoke and debris stepped Vex Thor, his form now a terrifying amalgamation of Zarkonian and void energies. "Did you really think I'd let you undo everything I've worked for?" he snarled, tendrils of darkness whipping around him. Maya stood firm, the power of the forge flowing through her. "It's over, Vex Thor. We have the key. The void's influence ends here." Vex Thor laughed, a sound that sent chills down everyone's spine. "You understand nothing, human. The void is eternal. It is the truth of existence. Your pitiful notions of balance and creation are meaningless in the face of cosmic entropy. He lashed out with tendrils of pure darkness, but Maya, drawing on the forge's power, created a shield of radiant energy. The two forces clashed, sending shockwaves through the chamber. As they battled, Maya's mind raced. Her earlier realization about the true nature of the void solidified into a plan. She needed to reach Vex Thor to make him understand. "You're right about one thing," Maya called out, her voice steady despite the strain. "The void is a fundamental part of the universe, but so is creation. They're two sides of the same coin, Vex Thor. You can't have one without the other." For a moment, confusion flickered across Vex Thor's corrupted features. Maya pressed on. "The Celestial Forge isn't a weapon to destroy the void. It's a tool to restore balance. To heal the damage you've done by trying to control forces beyond anyone's full comprehension." As she spoke, Maya channeled the Forge's energy, not as a weapon, but as a revealing light. The chamber filled with a radiant glow, showing the intricate connections between all things, the delicate balance between creation and entropy. Vex Thor faltered, his attack wavering. "No, it can't be. The void promised power, control over all existence." "The void lied," Queen Zareleth said softly, stepping forward. "Or perhaps you heard only what you wanted to hear, brother. True power comes from understanding and working with the fundamental forces of the universe, not trying to dominate them." Maya nodded, continuing to channel the Forge's energy. "You have a choice, Vex Thor. Continue down this path of destruction or help us restore balance. Your knowledge of the void could be invaluable in healing the damage done." For a long moment, the fate of the universe hung in the balance. Then slowly the tendrils of darkness around Vex Thor began to recede. His form shimmered, the corruption of the void fighting against his true self. I was wrong," he whispered, his voice sounding more like his old self. "So blinded by the promise of power, I couldn't see the truth." With a surge of effort, Vex Thor pushed back against the void's influence. Maya, recognizing the moment, channeled the full power of the Celestial Forge. A pulse of pure creation energy swept through the chamber, through the Ark, and out into the universe beyond. The void breach collapsed in on itself, its unnatural influence receding. Throughout the galaxy, corrupted beings felt the touch of restoration, the balance between creation and entropy reasserting itself. As the light faded, Maya found herself standing in a transformed chamber. The signs of battle were gone, replaced by a serene glow. Vex Thor, now free from the void's corruption, fell to his knees. "What have I done?" he murmured, the weight of his actions crashing down upon him. Queen Zareleth approached her brother, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "You lost your way, Vex Thor, but you found it again in the end. There will be consequences, but there is also hope for redemption." Maya stepped back from the forge, feeling the connection fade. She swayed, suddenly exhausted, but Caxlin and Lumi were there to support her. "You did it, Dr. Pertol," Lumi said, its body pulsing with joy. "You saved not just our civilizations, but the very fabric of the universe itself." As the reality of their victory sank in, Maya looked around at her alien allies, beings she now considered friends. She thought of Earth, of the life she had left behind, and of the incredible journey that had brought her to this moment. "What happens now?" she asked, her voice thick with emotion. Queen Zareleth smiled, a sight that filled the chamber with warmth. "Now, Dr. Pertol, we rebuild. We learn from this experience and work together to create a better future for all beings in the universe. And you," she added, her eyes twinkling, "have earned a place of honor among the stars, should you choose to accept it." Maya's heart swelled with the possibilities before her. She had started this adventure as a simple archaeologist, curious about the past. Now, she stood at the threshold of a future filled with endless discoveries and new friendships that spanned the cosmos. As the group began to discuss plans for the future, Maya felt a sense of peace wash over her. The universe was vast and full of wonders, and she had played a part in ensuring it would continue to grow and thrive. Whatever came next, she knew she was ready to face it with the same courage and determination that had brought her to this moment. The Celestial Ark, once a battleground, now hummed with the energy of new beginnings. And at its heart stood Maya Patel, no longer just a human from Earth, but a true citizen of the cosmos, ready to write the next chapter in the grand story of creation.